encounter the banquet?
No, I said, are you okay? The account of the banquet is preserved in Autonomy of Opposites, and the master of ceremonies, Juan Ricardo Liber. The banquet was given in Cece's apartment in the Plaza of Stockholm. 50 prostitutes or corsets were in attendance for the entertainment of the banquet's guests. As we learned about this holy man, the more twisted he became. The Pope, Don Sirius, and Donna Lexgren were all present to watch. Finally, they were offered silk and pair of shoes, hats, and other garments for those men who were most successful with prostitutes. We witnessed that the Pope made the root of evil above Christopher Columbus. I've always doubt in my mind that it wasn't really good. The evil of war. This piece of document is beaten to death in every single way. Do I really give a detail about it? To me, it was like a double-bladed sword because you can interpret it in any way you want it. You could argue that it was interpreted by the Queen, or it was lost translation as you read. Is this what we've seen as because Christopher Columbus did not speak the language? As I review some of the accounts of Christopher Columbus, genocide, death, abuse, arson, trafficking, kidnapping, enslavement. But I feel like genocide, human trafficking, and enslavement really went in depth, and the others just lightly touched upon. So I stand where I stand. I think I'm only like 90% sure of Columbus is guilty for genocide, human trafficking, and enslavement. I believe this because in his journals he wrote about how easy natives do what they wanted to do, and how they would make great slaves. They have no weapons, and they are all naked without any skill in arms. And they were very cowardly, so that 1,000, which obviously here, says the journal on December 6th. Thus, they are useful to be commanded and to be made to labor and sow, and to be everything else which is there is needed to build and talented, taught to wear clothes and learn our customs. He followed the steps of committing genocide. First, the group was already divided into colonists and natives. Then the natives were dehumanized and treated like animals. Then Columbus made a plan to capture natives and send them to Europe and work as slaves. Next, most of the natives were slain either by the hand or by capture. Their own hands or work. They are captured as slaves. The fugitives in the mountains were hunted down with hounds. If they escaped capture, they have often died of disease, starvation. Thousands killed themselves by taking poison made by Costa. Many parents killed their infants, spread to their death under the Spanish rule. In only 2 years, half of the Indians on the islands were dead. It was began a genocide by the native population by 1548. Now 500 Indians remain in Spain.
Good morning.
Make sure you're speaking up.
Okay. First off, the Union trial, I've learned that you cannot be biased when being a judge or during a trial in any position at all. I've noticed that I have been team prosecutor ever since the trial started. I guess now that the defendants have been a bit more well-prepared for court action, focus on both sides of the argument rather than going for one side. Yes, I am still convinced that Mr. Columbus is guilty, although during the time frame of these events like this were not frowned upon when you were told by the Pope and Queen to commit such acts. I also believe that the Pope should be imprisoned and banned from the Catholic Church for his unholiness. When the 10 Commandments were made, they were not to be broken, especially by a Pope that calls himself a man of God and that people look up to as a role model and a messenger from God. Isabella Católica is under my suspicion also because her answers didn't seem to be relevant and or honest, which has shown up later in the trial when Mr. Columbus was interrogated. Yes, I believe Mr. Columbus is guilty of genocide and rape. There has not been enough evidence and documents stated or present saying whether he committed arson. Hopefully this last day of trial we will see the defense team come through. Yes, it is obvious that Mr. Columbus is guilty of genocide and rape. Now the questions are, Was Mr. Columbus aware of his immoral behavior because he was given a task that must be accomplished? And does he really deserve a harsh prison sentence? Thank you.
Prosecution.
The prosecution has to go first.
You guys.
Make sure that you read it well and grammatically.
Wait, query, are you up to object during closing statement?
No.
Oh,
For the past week, both the prosecution and defense team did the best they could to prove Columbus guilty or innocent. Though he pleads innocence, we, the prosecution team, have more than enough evidence to prove him guilty on more than one charge. He was charged for rape, arson, genocide, slavery, and human trafficking. We hope that after this trial, we were able to show you that he deserves to be punished for the horrible crimes he has committed. Columbus has already admitted to human trafficking. Thou shalt not kill is the sixth commandment. This man standing before you was born and raised into the Catholic religion, meaning he followed these commandments. He himself went against the laws of God, the Almighty, the ruler of the world. The Pope was involved in chestnut parties, meaning he himself broke a commandment. Thou shalt not commit adultery. The seventh, would you take orders from the same man, or was Christopher Columbus ignorant enough to overlook the Pope's sins and continue on his course?
As stated by the defense team in yesterday's trial, the Queen did not give Christopher Columbus 10% of his profits. They stated he was betrayed by the Queen and she was not to be trusted for what she may have said. But would have you killed thousands of people because the Pope, a man who was proven not to be a man of God, told you it was okay to kill people for not converting? In some of the articles that we brought up, it states that he would be paid if he brought back all the gold and spices, which he did not. Instead, he brought back slaves. Christopher claims his men committed all the crimes and that he did not participate in these violent actions. The evidence brought up in this trial prove that he did, even if he wasn't there directly, because the Queen put him in charge of the voyages. He was officially in charge of everything going on. It does not matter if his men were appointed to him. He should have had control of them. He also claims he did not give orders to his men, but instead it was Queen Isabella. This is impossible because the Queen was not on the island with them at all times. At all. He acted on his own will when he was in the New World. He was not under direct orders of the Queen, but instead he was the one giving orders.
Christopher Columbus stated that he only wanted to explore. He went to multiple people asking to be funded before he asked the Queen. Under any circumstance, Columbus would sail. Columbus said he could not read Latin, so he could not read the Papal Bull. He followed the Queen's interpretation of the Papal Bull, not the Pope's, meaning he was following the word of the Queen, not the word of God. He also claims that he was following orders when he committed all his crimes. But where in the Papal Bull does it say to rape, to commit arson, to enslave, or to murder? Nowhere. Christopher Columbus is trying to defend his actions, but they are unjustified. Hopefully the court will be able to use the evidence brought up in the court to see the truth and make Columbus pay for what he has done. It won't only bring satisfaction for us, but for the people that were but for the innocent people that were slaughtered in his voyages. He did not only kill the indigenous, he tortured, enslaved, and raped as well. He was the sole commander during the voyages, and he acted on his own will while he was in the New World. He took advantage of his power and took what wasn't his. When he did not get his way, he killed them.